Across Australia, New Zealand and the South Pacific, this is the week's Adventist News in Focus.
Hi, thanks for joining me for this week's news. I'm Danielle Sinnott. Christian aid agencies are among the community groups raising the alarm over suggestions the Australian government will once again cut foreign aid. Under the previous Labor government and again under the current coalition government, the foreign aid budget has been cut. Previous bipartisan promises to increase aid to International Millennium Development Goal targets are looking increasingly out of reach. According to the Sydney Morning Herald, Foreign Minister Julie Bishop has warned the foreign aid budget will not be off limits if her government cannot get other cuts through the Senate. Catholic charity Caritas is asking Australians to contact government ministers to share their concern. The Adventist Development and Relief Agency has also expressed misgivings.
If Australia were to cut aid further than it already has, and let's remember that 6 months ago it was the largest part of the budget cut, it would send a message to the world that we care about ourselves more than we care about anybody else. That, in other words, we're effectively a selfish nation. I don't think Australians are, but that's a little bit the way that we seem to be beheaded if we make further cuts.
At 70 million, it's one of the world's biggest groups of largely unevangelised people, the deaf. But one church in Brisbane is doing its part to communicate the gospel effectively. For some years now, Logan Reserve Adventist Church on the southwestern outskirts of Brisbane has been using Auslan sign language interpreters during its weekly church services and other special events. The church has also made an effort to collect closed-captioned video resources.
It's my understanding that the Logan Reserve Church is the only one in the country that's doing anything at all like this, and I would really encourage at least one church in every state or capital city to get on board and do likewise, and we are happy to support you in this.
Next year, Logan Reserve will coordinate a church convention aimed specifically at the deaf from Australia, New Zealand and the South Pacific region. It was a time of celebration at Pacific Adventist University in Papua New Guinea as 188 graduating students received their qualifications. PAU is a relatively small institution, but in PNG's rapidly growing economy, students are clamouring to get in. Only 7% of the 5,000 applications to study at Pacific Adventist University next year will be successful. This is a similar acceptance rate to some of the world's most sought-after universities. Christian tertiary institutions are widely regarded in Papua New Guinea as providing the best quality education available. A crowd of 52,000 has come close to packing out El Salvador's largest stadium, not for a football game, but to hear Australian evangelist John Carter. The event topped off public meetings held in 93 locations around the country and coordinated by local Adventist congregations. Pastor Carter focused on the person of Jesus and the biblical prophecies that predicted his coming as Messiah. By the end of the 3-week campaign, more than 4,800 people had been baptised, with thousands more making a commitment to Christ. Over the last 20 years, it's become a Christmas tradition for thousands of Aussies and Kiwis to take a walk on the road to Bethlehem.
For out of you will come a ruler, who will be the shepherd of my people Israel. I will eliminate him from the face of the earth. That's what I'll do.
The Road to Bethlehem concept was first launched in Melbourne 2 decades ago. This year, 15,000 people are expected to participate in the live nativity experience, not counting the crowds flocking to similar events everywhere from Perth to Christchurch. Absolutely incredible. Love what those guys are doing. Now, if you'd like to see images of the world's largest live nativity performance ever on record, check out this week's full half-hour edition of Record in Focus. Apart from more news stories, In Focus also includes these special features. Australia will increase its refugee intake, but is it enough?
I'd be very surprised if the Australian government sent people back into harm's way, and certainly if that was happening or happened, we'd be very much critical and alarmed at that.
Obesity and bone health. Dr. James Wright explains the connection.
People who are overweight, the weight interferes with the body's normal production of growth hormone, which regulates, in a way, the bones.
And the president of the Adventist Church for the South Pacific region discusses the challenge of our increasingly secular societies.
Many people are still identifying with the supernatural, with God, but not wanting to identify with traditional Christian church.
You can watch the full In Focus program on Hope Channel every week, as well as on the Australian Christian channel Digital 44 in Adelaide and via our website record.net.au. Have a great week. All the best for your preparations for the season of giving. I'll see you next time on In Focus Adventist News. God bless.